Hey, welcome back. This is going to be a free full training on a PPC bidding strategy that will help maximize profits, and it's going to stop wasted ad spend. All right, so what is generally the big problem when it comes to Amazon PPC? Amazon PPC feels like it's a black hole for your ad spend. You're spending money, but your organic rank isn't improving. And even worse, most of your budget is going to wasted ad spend due to inefficient and ineffective bidding. However, you are not alone. Most sellers do struggle with this, and it's really just the education side of it and really understanding how it works and just kind of like a lack of real bidding strategy. So there's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to PPC and bidding. A lot of sellers think that in order for them to win on Amazon, they need to be spending more. That couldn't be more wrong. The really important part when it comes to PPC is really working with your bids and making it work for you. So another misconception is they assume higher bids generally means better sales, but like I said, that's not really how the Amazon algorithm works. And yeah, again, the real reason is the bidding strategy is just not there. So what's the solution? Stop wasting money on blind bidding strategies. Use bid stacking and workflow optimizations to gain visibility without overspending. And leverage PPC the right way to boost organic rank and scale profitably. So watch to the end of this video and then you'll see how I kind of apply everything together and just the process and the way that you should be thinking about your bidding and your PPC so that you can get the most out of it. So this is the bidding strategy that I use for my ads crafted training program. So this is just a client that I had worked with. They kind of came to us. They didn't really have much of a strategy at all. They were just running their ads. My system took over and almost immediately we saw a huge impact. And this one really came down to improving organic orders. And it wasn't because we were cutting ads either. We actually scaled it up. But what's really the difference here is we were spending it on the right things. So we reduced wasted ad spend. We brought the bids of bad targets down. We increased the bids of good targets, and that's why organic orders started to skyrocket. And of course, when organic orders skyrocket, what generally happens is you'll get more sales because you're getting visibility without paying for the ads. Your profit will also increase and your tacos should decrease. In this case, it actually went up a little bit. However, in the coming weeks, this tacos came significantly down. And the main reason here is because we ended up spending more money. So how does this look like? So I'm going to explain a concept called bid stacking. So there's three parts to this. We have the base bid. We have this one should say bidding strategy. So we have the bidding strategy. And then we have the placement modifiers. So what is the base bid? The base bid is what you're probably most used to. It's the bid that you change on a specific target. So from there, generally Amazon will kind of feed us a suggested bid. They'll give you a lower end, a suggested bid, and then a higher end. So what is a suggested bid? Suggested bid and the bid range is calculated from a group of winning bids for ads that are similar to yours. You can choose to use the suggested bid or any bid in or outside of the bid range. So what does this actually mean? It means that whatever you set as your bid is the maximum amount you're willing to pay for a click on your ad. The highest bidder usually gets the most impressions, but not always all the impressions. So that's really important. So let's just say if you bid much lower than the lower range of the bid, you're not going to get very many impressions. If you bid within the suggested bid or close or at the suggested bid, you're probably going to get impressions because based on this definition, you are bidding from a group of winning bids, which winning bids basically means you get impressions. However, if you bid the highest, you will get a lot more impressions. However, you're not always going to get all the impressions. So this is pretty obvious especially when you're going after, say, your top of search placement. And then there's that metric in Campaign Manager, the top of search impression share. And depending on the keyword, you'll notice sometimes you can only get it up to 5, 10, 15%. And even though you are the highest bidder by far, and that's just a sign that Amazon can't give the highest bidder all the impressions, and they have to kind of share it. But obviously, the more competitors that are bidding for the same target and the same placement, they're going to have to share those impressions because impressions is limited. So now that we understand the base bid, that is the first layer to what formulates your bid. The next one is bidding strategies. So within Amazon, at the campaign level, we are able to select 3 different bidding strategies. You have dynamic bids down only, you have up and down, and then you have fixed bids. So I'll talk about just down only specifically. It says, we'll lower your bids in real time when your ad may or less likely to convert to a sale. So what that means is Amazon has all this data on you. They understand the customer, but they also understand the relevance between your product and those targets. So when they see a case where they feel that they can bid down, so let's just say your base bid was $1 and you had this dynamic down only set, if a customer is more likely to not convert, your bid might turn into 80 cents. So this is actually a way to conservatively bid. I highly recommend in 99% of the cases always to use down only, because Amazon has more data than you, especially over time. And so if they are doing what they say they're going to do, they're probably going to get it right more often than not. And that leads on to why you shouldn't use fixed bids, because you don't have all that data. So it's almost better to just use down only so that you're not overspending when you're using fixed bids. And then the last one is up and down. So up and down is just the upside of down only, so I only would ever recommend using that for maybe auto campaigns or targets where they can get a lot more reach. That's because Amazon will kind of do the opposite of what down only is. They'll increase your bids in real time when the ads are more likely to convert to a sale. So based on just my data and running this for a really long time, in many cases, up and down will typically overbid. So it's actually a lot more aggressive. So generally you don't want to be running that. And it's only in special cases when I would end up using up and down. But in most cases, if you want to be conservative for your bids, then just set it to down only. And then the last part to the bid stack is placement modifiers. So within the campaign, at the campaign level, there's the placement button on the left here. So you're able to set this bid adjustment for top of search, rest of search, and product pages. So as you increase these percentages, it's going to increase the bid for that specific placement. So for example, if you set 100% at the bid adjustment for top of search, it's going to take your $1 bid and multiply it by 2. That's a 100% increase. So it's going to turn that $1 bid and bid to a maximum of $2. And then with your campaign bidding strategy where you have down only, it can go anywhere between $2 and below. So how do we bring this all together? So I'll just go through an example. So what the actual bid placed is the actual bid multiplied by the placement percentage. So I'll say 100% plus 1, which is 2, times the bidding strategy. So that in this case would be 100%, because it's either going to increase it or decrease it. So this is going to be the maximum. Of course, when you're dealing with a bidding strategy, it can go anywhere between 1% to 100%. So here's the example. So yeah, if your actual bid was 50% and your placement percentage is 100%, your bidding strategy is 100%. And for this sake of example, we're going to use dynamic up and down. Your bid stack is actually $2. So how does this work? So your bid is 50 cents multiplied by 2, which makes your bid $1. And from $1, it can go to a maximum of 100% higher than that. So it goes from $1 to then now $2. So that's why you got to be really careful when you're working with your bid stacks so that you're not overbidding, and to have full control over all three types. So here's another example. So if your actual bid is 10 cents and your placement percentage is 300%, and your bidding strategy is 0% because you're set to a fixed bid, your bid will ultimately be 40 cents. So if we look at the formula here, your actual bid is 10 cents times 300% plus 1, which equals to 4, times, in this case, this thing gets nailed out. So it would be 10 cents multiplied by 4, which goes up to 40 cents. So if 300% is placed on top of search, then you're going to have a bid up to 40 cents for your top of search. However, if you set this to 300% for top of search only and not the other ones, your top of search is going to be 40 cents, while your rest of search and your product page is going to be 10 cents, because it's going to equal to the base bid. Because in this, if you look at the formula for rest of search and product page, actual bid is 10 cents, placement percentage plus 1. This one basically equals 1, and then bidding strategy gets nilled out. So then you get 10 cents times by 1 equals 10 cents. So that's generally how that works. So you can see that you have, in terms of bid stacking, you have to take in consideration all three types. So you got your base bid, your bidding strategy, and your placements. So all three have to be synced up so that you can get the most accurate bid. So with all that being said, we're going to dive right into a bidding workflow in order to solve the bidding strategy side. And really, I break this down into a condition, and then based on the condition, what is the strategy and why are we applying such strategy. So the first condition that you always have in a life cycle of a target is if it's a brand new target, you're going to have no visibility and you're going to have unknown relevancy. Basically, what that means is you haven't sent any traffic to it and you haven't had any conversions to it to know whether it's a good keyword or not. So if that's the condition, we're going to want to implement a bidding rule called inch-up bidding. What inch-up bidding is we're just trying to find the bottom of the bid. Because you, like I mentioned in this suggested bid section, you can bid at the highest bid and be in this position here where you have no visibility and no relevancy. And if you bid at the highest bid, you can be bidding, say, $1.50. You're going to get traffic. However, you can get the same amount of traffic if you bid 70 cents. Maybe that was the bottom of the bid. So this is why we approach this by inching up the bid from a bid position much lower than the lower bid, because we're just trying to find that bottom. So when we do that, what ends up happening, we end up spending less per click received, which if you're dealing with thousands of targets across all your products, it definitely adds up. So this is step number one when it comes to the bidding strategy. So why do we do this? We have no confidence which whether the target is a good target, and we have no traffic. So the bidding style that we will use is conservative bidding. So we'll bid low. And then the next phase that can happen is you have visibility, but you have unknown relevancy. Basically, you're starting to get some clicks, you found the bottom, and now you have no conversion data. So when it gets to that point, we're going to want to turn this into another formula. This is called revenue-based bidding or target bid. How this is calculated is revenue over clicks multiplied by a target ACOS. However, revenue in this case would be 0 because your orders equal 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to take price over clicks multiplied by target ACOS. So that's essentially saying that we got one order when we use price. So by doing that, because we have no orders, however, we got a little bit of traffic. But because we got a little bit of traffic, we want to start to test that traffic out. So we're going to start moderately bidding. And basically it becomes a bit more aggressive than the conservative one, so that we can start to get a bit more traffic to see whether this thing can actually convert. So once we're at this moderate bidding level, it's going to go into two paths. Either we're going to have visibility and have high relevancy, which means we start to get orders, or we're going to have high visibility and no relevancy, which means we got no orders. So if that's the case, we're going to apply the same formula, but we're going to take in consideration the total revenue. So where orders are greater than one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., etc. So we're going to take the full revenue divided by clicks, multiplied by your target ACOS, and that's what your target bid is going to be. From there, we're going to have high confidence and high traffic, and this would then be considered aggressive bidding. Why we want to implement this formula is because it's going to give us the highest amount we are willing to bid to achieve that target ACOS. So this is probably going to be the most conservative bid without overbidding to achieve our specific goal for that specific target. And then in the second situation, since we have no visibility, no relevancy, we really want to just set the bid to the minimum bid. So you want to set it to 2 cents, because what happens when you set it to 2 cents, you're essentially negative bidding. What does that actually mean? It means that you bring the bid so low that it gets 0 impressions. So at that point, you would more or less just shut it down, but you shut it down through bidding, not specifically just negative targeting. Because it's important to shut down the target, because generally people who use negative targeting, they're shutting down the search term. But it's really important to shut down the actual target itself that's not performing. So I'm going to go through a couple examples of what this actually looks like in practice and what the bidding life cycle looks like. So in this first example, we're applying the inch up strategy. We go from 0, 1 to 2 or so clicks. Our selling price is $30, orders 0. So we started at 50 cents and it just goes up 5 cents every day. So our goal is to find the bottom. So we ended up getting about 2 clicks between an average of 55 cents basically, or 57, 58 cents. And then the minute this ends, it goes into the next stage. So we're going to go into moderate bidding. So here, we're going to, because orders equals 0, we're going to take the selling price divided by the number of clicks. So as the clicks grow, our base formula declines. So our base formula is revenue per click. But in this case, it's going to be selling price per click. So $30 divided by 3 is 10. So as you can see, the more clicks you get, but the less, but if orders don't change, your confidence level in the target is actually going down. As your confidence level goes down, the formula will naturally bring the bid down. In this case, we actually had a max bid assigned at $1.25. So the bid will just bid at the max at that $1.25. But you can see as the base bid goes down, and if that gets multiplied by their target ACOS of 30%, then your actual base bid will start to drop. So now let's just say you get some orders. So as you get some orders, you're applying the exact same formula. You're doing selling price. Sorry about that. So you're doing selling price divided by clicks, and as you get more clicks and as you get more orders, your base formula is starting to change, and it's starting to normalize. And then from there, you're going to multiply by 30% and it goes through the same rules. It's going to apply the max bid, and it's going to start bid. So you'll notice like the bid started to drop. And then all of a sudden we started to get orders. Now that we started to get orders, it started to bid aggressively again. And then it's going to basically find the bid that we need to be at to reach our 30% ACOS. So what does this actually look like on a graph? So right here, we're doing conservative bidding. We found a couple clicks here. The bottom here is clicks. So in the first here, we got a bunch of clicks at a very low price. However, because we started getting some traffic, we want to start to bid a bit more aggressive. So we applied the target bid rule where orders equal 0, and then we start to bid around here. But then it started to get some orders. And as it gets some orders, it starts to come up. It starts to bid a lot more aggressive. It goes into this aggressive bidding level because we want to spend money where we're going to make money. So we start to bid aggressively. However, as clicks go by and we actually stop getting sales, our confidence level in that target starts to come down. as it starts to come down, our bid also goes down. So that's basically how it works. So over time, you'll notice that if your conversion rate stays historically correct, you're going to start to normalize out. So as you get more clicks, you can kind of see this thing will start to normalize out. Here's another example. I'm not going to go through the actual math here, but it works the exact same way. So we had conservative bidding. We did that for a while. So it went up to like around 4 clicks. And then from there, we went to moderate bidding. And then for the next 10 or so clicks, we ended up not getting a sale. So because of that, we started to drop our bid. As we kind of drop our bid, we have less confidence in that target. However, if all of a sudden it starts to perform really well, then we start to go back to an aggressive bidding state. However, we do still understand that based on all of this data back here, that we shouldn't go too aggressive, because based on the conversion rate that actually happened, it's not as lucrative as we thought it would be. That's why the peak in this moderate versus the peak here is much lower. However, over time, we started to see, okay, it started to become a lot more consistent, and we're starting to get a lot more or higher conversion data. So based on that, we're going to start to bid a lot more aggressive. And all this is really doing is just looking back at this period as the day moves on, or as they gain more clicks. We're just looking back in history and performing a bid where if we assume that the history is going to stay the same, then we should reach a specific ACOS based on that specific target bid. So this is how you're going to make bidding work for you, and how you're going to reduce wasted ad spend. It's because it's the max amount of bid. The bid is going to be the max amount you're going to willing to pay to reach that specific ACOS. So if you approach the bidding strategy this way, you're going to not overspend on targets, and that's going to have a huge impact on your actual spend when it comes to PPC. And then the last example here is an example of negative bidding. So we have inch up, and then it basically gets shut down because we never got any orders. So after this thing went through 15 clicks, and then it basically just gets shut down. So we have conservative bidding. It bids, we inch up 5 cents a day, went up to 5 clicks, and then we got some traffic. Let's see if we can drive some conversions to this. And then as time goes on, we still get no clicks at all, or no orders at all. So the bid starts to drop and drop and drop and drop. And then at some point, which at 15 clicks, we're going to set this bid from whatever it's at right now, just above 50 cents, down to 2 cents. And what that effectively going to do is it's going to reduce the impressions to basically nil. And that's how the bidding structure generally works. So if you can follow this bidding workflow and you have a really good understanding of this how bid stacking works, you can achieve results that can do this. And it's going to reduce your wasted ad spend in your entire bidding strategy for your PPC. So if you like what you saw today, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.